My parents demanded I move home to take care of them, then gave my room to my brother and made me sleep on the floor. When I refused to be their servant, they tried to ruin my reputation. So I cut them off. I'm 28, and I've always been the one in my family who gets things done. Growing up, I was the responsible one, the one who made good grades, stayed out of trouble, and generally didn't rock the boat. My younger brother, on the other hand, was the golden child. He could crash the car, fail a class, or completely screw up, and my parents would find a way to excuse it. He's just figuring things out, they'd say. Meanwhile, if I so much as forgot to take out the trash, I'd get a lecture about how I needed to be more responsible. When I graduated from college, I moved across the country. It wasn't just for work, though that's the reason I gave my parents. I needed space. The constant expectations, the favoritism, the double standards, I just couldn't do it anymore. Moving away gave me the freedom to build my own life, far away from all of that. For years, I only came home for the occasional holiday. We talked on the phone every so often, and things were fine as long as I kept my distance. That changed a few months ago when my dad had a health scare. It wasn't life-threatening, but it was serious enough that my mom decided they needed help. She called me, laying on the guilt as thick as possible. "Your dad isn't the same anymore," she said. "We can't handle this alone. You're the responsible one. Your brother just isn't in a position to help right now." I asked what she meant by not in a position. She said he was going through a rough patch. That's what she always said when he wasn't doing what he was supposed to. I later found out that rough patch meant he was still living at home, working part-time, and spending most of his time playing video games. At first, I told her I couldn't come. I had a life here, friends, a good job, stability. But she didn't let up. Every phone call was the same. "We need you. This is what family does. After everything we've done for you, the least you can do is help us." After weeks of this, I finally caved. I agreed to move back temporarily, just to help them get things under control. I figured I'd stay a few months, help set up a routine for them, and then go back to my life. When I got there, I realized how wrong I'd been. The first thing I noticed when I walked into the house was that my old room was gone. Not just the furniture, all of it. My posters, my books, even some childhood keepsakes were gone. My brother had taken over the space completely. When I asked where my stuff was, my mom shrugged. "Your brother needed the space," she said. "We thought you wouldn't mind." They'd set up an air mattress in the corner of the living room for me. I tried to tell myself it was temporary, but it was a slap in the face. I'd just uprooted my life to come help them, and they couldn't even leave me a place to sleep. Things only got worse from there. My parents expected me to cook, clean, and do most of the grocery shopping. My brother didn't do anything. He'd sit in his room, gaming for hours, while I was expected to pick up the slack. When I asked why he couldn't help, my mom gave me the same excuse as always. "He's going through a rough patch. You're the older one. You should understand." It all came to a head one night after dinner. My dad asked me to start handling his medical appointments. I told him I was already handling most of the cooking and cleaning, and that my brother should step up too. He just sighed and said, "You know your brother isn't as responsible as you." That's when I lost it. So because I'm responsible, I get to do everything while he does nothing? How is that fair? My mom tried to calm me down. "We're not asking for much. Just a little help while your dad recovers. Why are you making this so difficult?" I pointed at my brother, who was scrolling on his phone, pretending not to hear us. "He lives here too. Why can't he do something for once?" My brother finally looked up and said, "I didn't ask you to come back. If you don't want to be here, just leave." I stared at him, then at my parents. They didn't say a word. That was all I needed to know. The final straw came a week later. My parents hosted a family dinner, and during the meal, my mom started talking about how grateful they were to have me home. At first, I thought she was finally acknowledging my efforts. But then she said, "Thank God your brother has been here to keep things steady." I nearly choked. After dinner, I pulled my mom aside. "I can't do this anymore. You asked me to come back because you needed help, but you've treated me like an outsider the whole time. You gave my room to him and expect me to do everything while he sits around. I'm done." She looked offended. "We've done so much for you, and this is how you repay us? Your dad is sick, and you're making it all about yourself." I shook my head. You're not asking for help. You're demanding sacrifice. And you're not even grateful for it. If you want me to stay, things need to change. She crossed her arms. If you don't want to be here, no one's forcing you. So I left. When I got back to my apartment, I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. A couple of weeks later, my mom started sending me handwritten letters. They were filled with guilt-tripping nonsense about how I'd abandoned them in their time of need and how they were struggling to hold everything together. She wrote things like, "We raised you better than this," and "Family is supposed to stick together." It was exhausting to read, but I ignored them. She didn't stop there. She started posting vague statuses on Facebook that were clearly aimed at me. One said, "It's heartbreaking when family turns their back on you when you need them most," while another was an old family photo with the caption, "When family still meant something." I ignored those too, but soon enough, relatives started reaching out, asking why I wasn't helping my parents. It was clear my mom had been telling everyone that I'd abandoned them. I decided I wasn't going to let her control the narrative. I called up the relatives who'd reached out and explained everything. I told them how I'd moved back, how my parents had given my room to my brother, and how they'd treated me like a servant while he did nothing. Most of them were shocked, and a few even apologized for assuming the worst about me. To stop the public shaming, I posted my own update online. I wrote, "For those wondering why I'm not at home, I moved back to help my parents, but was treated more like a servant than family. I respect my boundaries and my worth, and I won't apologize for protecting both." That shut things down pretty quickly. But my parents weren't done. Not long after, my dad called me. At first, I thought he might be calling to apologize, but no. He was calling to ask for money. He said they'd run into some unexpected medical expenses and needed me to pitch in. I asked him why my brother couldn't help, and he immediately launched into the same tired excuse. He's doing the best he can, but you know he's not in a position to help. I told him, "So, because I'm responsible, it's always on me? Why can't you ask him to step up for once?" His tone shifted immediately. "We raised you. We sacrificed so much for you. The least you can do is help us now that we need it." I wasn't in the mood to argue. I'm not in a position to help, and frankly, I don't think it's fair for you to keep asking me when he's right there doing nothing. He snapped, "You're so selfish. I can't believe this is the kind of person you've become." A week later, I found out they'd told my brother that I'd refused to help, and he sent me a long, angry text accusing me of abandoning the family and leaving everything on him. I knew he was just parroting what my parents had told him, so I didn't even bother responding. Instead, I sent an email to both of my parents. I wrote, "I've already uprooted my life once to help you, and you treated me like an outsider. Now you're asking for money while refusing to hold brother accountable for contributing. I'm done being the only one expected to sacrifice." After sending the email, I blocked my brother's number temporarily to avoid the guilt tripping. If he wanted to be angry, that was his problem. Then came the fake emergency. One night, my mom called me crying and said my dad had fallen and hit his head. She begged me to come home right away, saying, "We can't reach your brother, and I don't know what to do." I asked her if she'd called 911. She hesitated before saying, "We didn't want to cause a fuss." Something felt off, so I called my dad's phone directly. He answered on the second ring and sounded completely fine. When I asked what was going on, he said, "Your mom said we should call you." I don't know why. It was clear she'd made the whole thing up to manipulate me into coming home. I called her back and told her, "Don't ever fake an emergency to try to get me to come back. If you want me to visit, ask me like an adult. This is completely unacceptable." She tried to backpedal, saying, "I just wanted to see you. Is that so wrong?" I told her, "What's wrong is lying to me and trying to manipulate me. If you ever do this again, I'm done." She got defensive and said, "You're so ungrateful." All I wanted was to bring the family back together. I hung up and didn't take her calls for a while after that. A few months later, I heard from a cousin that my parents were threatening to change their will. Apparently, they'd been telling relatives that if I didn't step up and take care of them, they'd leave everything to my brother. My mom even said, "If he doesn't want to be part of the family, he doesn't deserve anything from us." I wasn't surprised. My parents have always used money as a way to control people. What they didn't understand was that I never expected or relied on an inheritance from them. I called my mom and said, "I heard about the will. Do whatever you want with your money. It's yours. But don't think you can use it to control me." She tried to argue, saying, "We just want to make sure we're taken care of. If you don't want to help, why should you get anything?" I told her, "You don't need to threaten me with something I don't care about. I've built my own life, and I don't need anything from you." She was stunned. I think she expected me to grovel or beg, but I didn't. The final straw came when they started actively trying to turn the extended family against me. They told people I'd abandoned them, refused to help, and was leaving my poor brother to handle everything on his own. At a family gathering, my aunt pulled me aside and asked what was really going on. I told her everything, how I'd moved back to help, how they gave my room to my brother, and how they expected me to do everything while he did nothing. I even showed her screenshots of texts from my mom and brother to back up my story. She was horrified. "They made it sound like you just didn't care," she said. "I can't believe they've been lying to everyone." Word spread quickly after that. My parents' attempts to paint me as the bad guy backfired when people started hearing the truth. Relatives stopped siding with them, and some even called them out for their behavior. It's been about a year since all of this went down, and I've gone no contact with my parents and brother. They still try to reach out occasionally, but I don't respond. I've learned that some people will never change, no matter how much you try to help them. Walking away was the best decision I've ever made. For the first time, I feel free to live my life on my own terms, without their manipulation hanging over me.